What's up, guys? I'm back with another video. My name's Grady. I listen to country music on this channel, and this time I am doing an album roundup of all the albums that I heard that came out in May. Now that we're at the end of May, May wasn't a crazy month, and that was nice because April was kind of crazy. Like the end of March, we got Ashley McBryde and Casey Musgraves, and then April we just had an onslaught of albums, and I didn't even get to listen to everything that was coming out from the country music world. But May was a much calmer month, which was good. And so I'm going to stick with the format I did on the last album roundup and just go from my favorite album of the month down to my least favorite album of the month. And I thought about switching it, but I don't know. I just didn't want to. If you notice I'm talking a little bit quietly in this video, it's because it's like 12:20, and it's technically Monday morning right now. It's Sunday night, and I have roommates, and I'm trying to be a little respectful. I probably shouldn't record a video at all at this time, but whatever. I care about I care about keeping this channel updated and consistent, so that's what I'm gonna do. All right, let's get into this. My number one album from this month was Traveler's Western Movies. This is a really cool album. So Traveler is one of these sort of like side project supergroups of Johnny Fritz, Corey Chisel, and Robert Ellis. Those are three like indie faves within the country music world, and they're all super talented on their own. But there's something really beautifully balanced about the three of them when they're together in this act that they call Traveler. Traveler's been putting out music for a few years. They've played a few festivals. I've seen them live. But Western Movies is really their first real release, and I don't know what happened in the release of this. Like, none of them seem to be promoting it on any of their social media, which I don't quite get. But this album is a really, really great album. How do I describe it? I would say it's like if the Beatles made a country record. Sometimes it feels like a little all over the place and kind of woozy and weird, and you get these fun piano notes, and you get really interesting lyrics all throughout this record. There's a song called Hummingbird that's just kind of about a mess of a woman who just doesn't know the words and hums along like a hummingbird. And there's a song called Western Movies that's the most gorgeous melody. It's what I'm playing right now, if you can even hear it. I think it's Robert Ellis's main vocal, about him just enjoying watching Western movies with his boy on his lap. There's a song called Christmas Eve at Kroger. It's got these kind of very specific things that remind me of John Prine lyrics, where you'll have a phrase like crackling oat bran dropped into the middle of a verse, and you get all these specific little mundane details that make this a gorgeous album. I think it really lives and breathes and feels real. There's a tone of melancholy that goes all through this record. There's a song called Nobody Makes It Out, about being unable to escape small town life. That's echoed again later in the album with a song called Get Me Out of the South, and really lush arrangements. And I think this is a little bit of an all over the place review, but it's a little bit of an all over the place album. But I think as I've listened to it more times, I've felt this kind of sonic cohesion of loneliness, melancholy, from very much like a single guy perspective. I really enjoy this record. I enjoy the line "Chia Pet Goatee." That's how they refer to some of these sort of corporate business hawk. There's a song called Hero. There's a song called Happy in Hindsight. And in all of these, there's this sort of self-loathing feeling, but it's coupled with A, the camaraderie of this group, and B, the sort of funniness of some of these lyrics. So I think it's an awesome listen. I'm excited to kind of get into it more. So I give this one 8 out of 10 beards. This is my favorite of the month. My number 2 album of the month is Providence Canyon by Brent Cobb. This is a really funky record. I think Trigger over at Saving Country Music called Brent Cobb a smooth pimp on this record. And I get that. The vibe of this is almost like Port St. Joe by Brothers Osborne, although I don't like this record quite as much as I liked that one. Sometimes it's just not as immediate, like it's not as gripping of tunes, and I can feel it a little bit meander some. I think the last 2 songs in this record are a knockout, though. There's one called When the Dust Settles, and there's one called Ain't a Road Too Long. And When the Dust Settles I really like because it's just sort of a statement about making music, where it's like, if you're making something that's good and true, well then you can stand by yourself and be proud of yourself. I really enjoyed that. My favorite lyric on this record is actually the song called High in the Country, of him kind of thinking about this woman from his past, and that he's ruminating on their relationship and on the man that he is, and it's just got some of the most gorgeous lyrics about like ivory sails that you don't hear very often, and there's impeccable songwriting all throughout this record. I like this record. I think it's about having a good time, but it's a really thoughtfully made record that sounds really, I always use the word rooted. I'm trying to come up with a new word. It feels like real. You know, it's not overproduced. And Brent Cobb, if you didn't know, from his debut album, Shine on a Rainy Day, he's a songwriter. He's had some success as a songwriter. He's also the cousin of Dave Cobb, who's like the super producer of super producers. And I think this is a really successful follow-up to his debut. It's a lot more fun. It's maybe not as serious, and I don't think it's trying to be. But I would give this record 7 out of 10 beards. I really enjoyed it. My third favorite record this past May was Life is Good on the Open Road by Trampled by Turtles. I really like Trampled by Turtles. You know, I'm my favorite band, my soul band, is the Avett Brothers. And it's not hard to see why someone that likes the Avett Brothers might also like Trampled by Turtles. They have sort of sensitive lyrics, and I enjoy their kind of more stripped back songs when it's not so crazy. But I really respect this band. They've never kind of gone the route of, let's bring in a bunch of drums into our band, let's make these more radio friendly. It's always been drum free and very kind of like bluegrass rock, which I think it's really cool. Now this record I think is really good. It's got some of the classic Trampled by Turtles like thrashing, mandolin, really furious picking, which I think is really fun live. Sometimes I don't enjoy listening to it so much. I'm kind of a pensive music listener, and it just gets exhausting to me. But when they slow down on this record, I think it gets extremely hopeful in the face of loneliness. There's a song called Life is Good on the Open Road, which captures that sort of existential angst of the musician that longs for connection, but also loves to be on the road and likes his life to be different every day, which is very often at odds with community and love and relationship. There's another song called I Went to Hollywood that I think is kind of dealing with some of those similar vibes of moving around a lot. And then there's another song called We All Get Lonely. That's my favorite song on the record, which I think is just a very beautiful track that's saying like, we all get lonely. It's a really kind of beautiful, empathetic track. So this whole record has some interesting songs. Thank You, John Steinbeck. That's another good one. I give this 7 out of 10 beards as well, and I enjoy it. Man, 6.5. Because I haven't gone back to this album that many times. So, gotta downgrade it. My fourth favorite record this month was Drake White's Pieces EP. Now, Drake White I've followed for a while. He's kind of been on the edge of breaking as a mainstream male for a while, which for every other dude in Nashville it seems to be very easy to break, but for Drake White, who has a really cool kind of growly voice, it doesn't seem like it's been that easy. So now we get this EP. It's called Pieces, and it says it has 5 songs, but Spotify won't play this one called Grandpa's Farm, so I don't know if it's just not available on Spotify or if there's been like some dispute and now it's taken off. But anyway, I've only heard 4 of the 5 songs, and it's okay. There's one song that I think is the clear standout here, and it's called Nothing Good Happens After Midnight. It's sexy, it's growly, it's funny, and I think it's honestly like the most kind of far from country, but I feel like it's where his vocal, going into his falsetto and his growl, where he seems most interested in being like a little bit slinkier and bluesier. So I think he should lean into that sound, because I think this kind of, it almost feels like beach music, bluesy country. It gives me that same vibe as like Barefootin' by Scotty McCreery, but it's a way slinkier lyric. And I think that works best for him, and it's what he sounds most interested in doing. Some of the other songs, Happy Place, Best Is Yet to Come, Girl in Pieces, they just get a little generic. There's not like much grit, there's not much conflict, and I don't know what the thought is with this release. I think the sound is okay, but with the exception of Nothing Good Happens After Midnight, I just don't feel like it's like pushing. There's no conflict, and I need a little more of that oomph. So I would give this one 5 out of 10 beards, and I hope for more. The final record I'm going to talk about this month is Trent Harmon's You Got 'Em All. Now, Trent Harmon won American Idol in its final season that it was on Fox 2 years ago, and I guess They just wanted to be able to have put this album out by the time that ABC crowned the new American Idol in their revived version of it. And they put this album out. It's been a while. He went in a country direction, even though he wasn't really country on the show. It might have been because Scott Borchetta was a mentor. And the resulting album is an interesting mishmash. You've got some like very, very country radio friendly songs like There's a Girl that just don't feel like they're part of this kind of soul pop thing that he wanted to do on American Idol, and his kind of like really delicate falsetto. It's honestly not dissimilar to what I said about Drake White. Trent Harmon sounds most interested on this album on tracks like 'Cause I Do, where he's getting to be a little bit more tender and R&B tinged than he does on the country songs, which can be really like generic sort of country radio singles. Everything that's trying really hard to be sort of country pop friendly it just falls so flat for me on this record, and it makes it totally characterless, which is a bummer. Like I felt like I listened to it and I did not have a sense of who Trent was, and that was disappointing to me. I do really like the title track, You Got 'Em All, which is a very sort of sparse ballad, and I think it's pretty. I don't think it seems like it's really costing Trent anything. I don't think much of these things do, except for songs like 'Cause I Do. Yeah, there are a few songs on here like Her and There's a Girl and Hold On. I just don't feel interested at all in those. They just feel like demos to me. And then you get to a song like 'Cause I Do, and you get to a song like My Somebody, and you just feel Trent be so much more engaged. And so whether or not that's the right answer for radio, it's the right answer for Trent, and I think he should pursue that kind of stuff a lot more. As it stands, this record feels very identityless, and I would give it maybe like a 4 out of 10. So kind of it's sad to end on these at the end to not have loved something, but let me know what you thought of these albums. I apologize. I've had, a few, and I know I was not totally articulate. I just wanted to get this video up. I'm just saying, I know this was not my most articulate, but let me know your thoughts. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll be back with more stuff. June's going to be a freaking crazy month. I've already got Tammy Nielsen and Luke Combs and American Aquarium, and Dirks is coming out, so it's going to be hard. Okay, bye guys.